Hello, everybody. I have Mr. Robert Richards, Ms. Bill Plonka, Mr. Chris Lechner, and myself.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Make sure they holler if they want to talk.
Yeah, make sure you guys speak up. I did get it up just a little bit, playing with it and then Kathleen's gonna run the projector for me, so.
You ready?
Okay.
You ready, Kathleen? You ready? We're ready? Okay. Call the meeting to order. Verification of meeting notice.
Posted on the web.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brisboy.
Here.
Mrs. Blazinski. Here. Mrs. Variance.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Manning, Mrs. Peterson,
Here.
Mrs. Rowe.
Okay, then 3, approval of the agenda. Mr. Brisboy's moved to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. France. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Agenda is approved. 4 then, approval of the minutes of the May 11th, 2020 meeting. Anybody have any
I didn't see.
additions, corrections?
I'd make a motion that we approve.
Mrs. Peterson made a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Blazinski, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 5 then, citizens forum.
I'm gonna ask if any of them are.
Does anybody have anything they'd like to present in the citizens forum?
He's on the thing. He's zooming.
Yeah, he's zooming. We do have if nothing else, we do have a small presentation to honor the work of somebody who has worked here for 20 years. Make sure she's on camera. There's a box over there for you to unwrap.
Yeah. The paper.
Not talking to me.
That is
You don't get the box, you just get the paper.
That's COVID paper.
That's COVID paper to make sure that.
Tell my grandson, because I didn't have any birthday wrapping paper. I said, this is COVID paper.
To say it looks
They don't know if you guys see. No, that's me. We don't want to see. We want to watch the.
Oh.
Oh, thank you. I've been looking for one of these, right?
No.
Well, you can't see it, but it's worked for you.
Yeah.
Did they find that?
I don't know where my Zoom went. Here, this is. Well, you still can't see it. She's too far over.
You want me to carry it over there?
No, you can't hardly lift it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just gonna pick this up and say, look at everybody, that's what we got her.
There you go, Rob.
It's a non-functioning.
Put it by the washing machine.
So,
Thank you.
thank you. That wasn't a
Thank you.
huge giant
Years
presentation,
of
but.
hard work and actually, that's in lieu of a water fountain in your office. You're gonna run a hose to that and you're ready for that.
Enjoyed. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak? Okay, if not, then 6, committee report, 6-1, finance and personnel report from earlier this evening.
All right, we just had 3 checks of note, 50315 to First Book. It was $1,467.69. It was for the free books that were given away in the gymnasium to the children. 50316 to Full Compass. It was $7,031 for the speaker system in the gym, and all of that money was fundraised. So that was really cool. And 50321 to Precision Controls for $2,102.92 was for the boiler in the high school for repairs. Then we talked about hourly staff. We're going to discuss that later, right? I'll bring up recommendations then. We talked about the rate of pay for that. We talked about bus purchases, which we'll talk about later. And we're tabling some talk about the winches for basketball. And we talked about percentages and bumping the base pay for extracurriculars, but we're going to revisit that. So we'll bring that back another time too.
Any questions or comments for finance and personnel? Okay, not seeing any or hearing any, we'll move on to 6-2 policy from June 3rd.
Okay, we talked about, we have a new library policy, which is on the agenda tonight, which we'll look at later. We updated the business manager job description and wrote 2 new job descriptions for bookkeeper and administrative assistant that we'll be talking about tonight, and updated the HR position. Then we did a lot of review mostly just, added commas or whatever, but there's one we're gonna bring to you that we tweaked a little bit of language. That's on pupil welfare, we'll bring that up later. We added the statute to something else. Do we have anything else, Julie?
Yeah, well, we talked about advancement into the higher level classes
Oh,
and
right.
everybody's take on that.
And it was my understanding the administration was gonna get together and keep discussing that though, and bring
Yes.
something else, so, right, okay. Okay,
Any questions, comments for policy committee? Not seeing or hearing any. 6.3, buildings and grounds from June 3rd.
June 3rd, we've met the building and grounds. We discussed the sound system. Progress is being made. Equipment has been acquired and starting to be installed. And then we talked about the addition to the parking lot and moving the fill material over to the football field. We talked about some WAPs, adding some more wireless access points in and around the facilities. Computer replacement was discussed as well as handheld devices for K. It was a K2, Kathleen, K2. Depending on if we need, depending on what's going to happen this fall, we felt the need and we evaluated costs on that. We discussed radio frequency IDs, basically using some of our tech, what we had left for tech funding, make sure we get that utilized up. Frank came in and showed us quotes for putting glycol antifreeze into the elementary and the high school.
Just the elementary,
Just the elementary.
potentially the high school.
Potentially the high school, but we discussed it, and elementary is what we're focused on right now because that's where we're having problems. We discussed about the winches and looked at the quotes for winches and for the basketball hoops and gym. Concrete repair, was discussed, as well as asphalt repair and getting ceiling quotes for the cracks on that. Talked about a new bus and some opportunities there. And then I think we discussed the amphitheater and what the future plans of that were.
And the
Backstop.
The old backstop, Frank was talking about the old backstop and what did we decide?
he was going to talk to Coach Clary.
Okay.
I don't think they use it anymore.
I
So
don't
they were
think
going
so
to talk to them about potentially getting rid of it. It's just sitting in the weeds.
And then the pictures on the fence down there for the graduating seniors along Highway 58, the students can come get them.
Anytime now.
Anytime
That's
now.
right.
So Ron, I have a question if we're to that point.
Yes.
Just on the amphitheater, because I'm on the restart for school,
Mhm.
and that was one of the spaces, so is that what you kind of talked about?
That's the reason why it was brought up was if we have to do, social distancing or we need space for teaching this fall.
Okay,
This could be, I'll say, a classroom.
okay, so what may need to be done?
Well, what was it?
They'd have to be built.
Built,
But
yeah.
we didn't have the drawings or the pictures, so we just wanted to see what it was, what they were going to do.
We'd seen them at one time, but we didn't have anything current on them.
Okay,
is that
Okay.
something the playground committee is doing?
Yes.
Right.
But it's separate, I brought it to the board separate from playground because it is for the more middle high school than.
Yes, it's always been viewed, I think, as much an elementary school thing as a playground thing,
Right.
but this is now an
Right,
educational
because
venue.
we had listed that, and
Yep.
so, yeah. And I
wanted
think
to know-
Julie had mentioned that building and grounds were talking about it, so.
We wanted to
I just
know
wanted to
kind
know
of
what
where we
you were
were with the
talking about.
budget, with, end of the year figures on if we might have anything left over. The preliminary costs for like around $6,500, right? And so we just wanted to know how it was going to be structured. So
We're gonna work on specific costs. I told him to talk to Randy about drainage.
Mhm.
And I think he had a lot of that from before, but we just need to get it together.
Okay,
and then we can review the plan.
Right, and he has a good computerized picture. So that'll be on July again.
It's on buildings and grounds for July. And then the parking lot project, as you can see, has started. I think Kenny Anderson, he came down and tilled it up, which made it a lot easier. And the dirt has been moved from there. It's all put in, done to grade, seeded, rolled, and straw put on, and it's just got to grow now. So the field is done. And he's going to come back. Randy didn't have time to do it all in one, but he wanted to get everything down there so that could get going and get growing. seeded, so that's done. He's gonna come back sometime soon to finish up the parking. I think he's got most of it dug down. Might have to haul a little bit of dirt yet, and then he's gotta bring the gravel and that stuff. So. Any other questions, comments for buildings and grounds? Okay, not seeing or hearing any. Move on to 7 then, reports. 7.1, District Administrator's Report.
So I just mentioned the Restart School Committee meetings, 3 o'clock on Wednesday. Let me know if you want to join. We are having an ongoing Zoom meeting, so if you have a link to it, you can join at any time. I've also started meeting with area superintendents to see what fall looks like, because it's better to do it en masse versus individual. And a couple of the legislators have said, yes, they will start coming to those. So probably an hour every other week about, so not real timely, but again, we want to make sure we're all in it together. I am very excited that I am done being a high school math teacher. But it was for now. It was good because it was really brought it to me that how this next year is gonna be different. And it was nice to talk about that as a teacher in the Restart Schools Committee meeting. So that was interesting. And basically we do not have, we have basically that whole last paragraph. We don't know what the budget's gonna look like. So I just put in there that, we're gonna have to run the school. It's gonna have more restrictions. We're gonna have more people to clean. We're gonna have more cleaning supplies, we have all the people that help us at the state level are throwing things at us, and Mr. and Mrs. Jane and Mr. Lechner are really taking, I'm just like, that has to be you guys. I can't do it right now. And Mrs. Richards is dealing with all the financial ambiguity, so thank you very much. Mr. Hess and Mrs. Thompson have helped get all the information out, but there's so much information that even comes in still yet on a county level that Adam is helping me weed through. And then just Mrs. Annette and everybody's cleaning. And I mean, there's just so much extra work going on, even though we just finished school. Technically, today would have been the last teacher day. So lots of stuff going on, and unfortunately, I don't know is my basic answer to many questions, but we're plugging it, we're moving ahead, so.
Is there, I'd heard there was talk that DPI is gonna do it kind of region by region, so that like schools in an area are all very similar, so that way kids aren't jumping schools.
That was given as guidance to us, that we should, and it actually came from the CISA level, like, okay, especially on a county level, because we have to follow our county health plans. And unfortunately, we have to follow 2 counties. So I have to be aware of what SAUC is doing also. If they have more restrictions than Richland, I have to know that. I'm lucky that we're only in 2 counties. So I haven't even begun discussions with Sauk County, but yeah, we're getting very little mandated information. We're getting guidance. So the guidance is to check with your insurance company, check with your county health department, and check with your attorney. That's the guidance we've gotten so far.
Public health, I know in SAUC is a lot stricter and has done a lot more than we have in Richland. So, you might want to be aware of that. They seem to be more on top of it as far as, I don't know if it's on top, but I know they're much stricter.
Well, in the communication, I think one of the things that was evident during our very first meeting is we don't know what the parents want. We don't know how many parents are going to say, no, I am not going to let my child go to school, because that's their right as a parent. And then how do we address that situation? Or we have parents that say, no, my child has to go to school every single day. I'm not worried about COVID at all. In which case we'll have to deal with that parent. And they have every right to say that. So there's all these ambiguities about that. So we really need the parents on board. We really need everybody. The communication needs to be out there. So as soon as we make any small, tiny decisions at that restart committee, we'll be bringing them here to talk about and flesh out even further. But So far, we've just had one hour meeting,
I
so.
know they're not a perfect vehicle, but is there a way to put out, a community survey where a parent would fill out how comfortable are you? I mean, just to factor, so you can get an idea, is it 90% want to come to school or is it 10% that want to come to school?
We'll probably get there tomorrow.
Okay.
Wednesday for our second meeting.
Okay, I wasn't.
Yeah,
And it might
It's
be
the
where
same
we
with staff.
do more of
True.
that, specifically to parents and keeping track so that we know that these 10 don't want to go to school, these 20 do. So when we look at busing and whose classes and how to divide them if needed, even though it's kind of a privacy thing, but it has, we have to be kind of open. Otherwise we won't know. Thankfully, we only have 460 kids. I can't imagine.
Milwaukee or Madison.
Big school.
great.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, hearing none. 7.2 then, principal's report, Ms. Sheens.
Elementary students and staff finished strong last week. Staff continued to have regular contact with both students and parents for the final week. We took the need to connect with our students and help them find success in this new learning method very seriously. Hats off to all the staff. Orchestrated by Mrs. Owen, the Ithaca staff participated in a drive-through send-off on Tuesday. Although not near as great as a regular end of school year celebration, the staff, students, and parents who participated enjoyed seeing each other. The parade route through downtown Ithaca was lined with teachers and their signs. Students of Ms. Durkin's art program completed projects with the local healthcare professionals and out in the community. The 4th and 5th grade Lit War team completed virtually, and they did well. They placed in a tie for second. Peyton, Alyssa, Isaiah, Callie, and Aubrey. Mrs. Clements has retired. Well-deserved retirement. The Ithaca Elementary students and staff want to thank her for what she brought to Ithaca. Dedication, hard work, and the desire to see our students become contributing members of their class and our community. Thank you, Mrs. Clements. You will be missed. Mr. Lecker and I, along with Ms. Prouty, have been involved in many webinars, Zoom meetings, and have many more yet as we figure out our next steps. A big thank you to Julie Thompson for her exceptional work with sharing information with our families and community. Not only is she efficient and timely, she is well-written and creative. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Congrats to Mrs. Mackenzie Richard. She's completed her master's. And best wishes to our graduates. Many have served as TA, teaching assistants. Their helpfulness and leadership were so wonderful and will be greatly missed. Show that bulldog grit and pride and make us proud for this next adventure. Curriculum review. As an Ithaca staff, we're learning how to be a professional learning community school, and a PLC. We focus on these 4 questions: what do we expect students to learn? How will we know they're learning? How we respond if they get it, if they don't. We're focusing on question 1, determining the essential standards that all students in every class must be able to know and do by the end of the semester year. Staff have been working on this during the closure in addition to making regular contact with student families. This work will continue over the next couple of years.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Shane? Seeing none, hearing none. On to 7.3 then, principal's report, Mr. Lechner's report.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
The end of the school year is finally here. It's been a unique and at times a very trying situation with COVID-19 and missing most of the 4th quarter. I do believe that given the situation, our staff and students did the best that they were capable of. Grades have been entered and we only had a very small percentage of our students fail a class. In most instances, it was because absolutely no work had been turned in by the student. Each of our teachers kept a contact log of how many emails and phone calls were made to those students and parents, trying to help them in any way that they could. Congratulations to our students for their behavior during the filming of our virtual graduation. The seniors were on time, mostly, respectful, and generally excited to finally be able to walk across the stage and become a 2020 Ithaca graduate. There were lots of well wishes given to each other and a few tears, but given the situation, I believe it turned out quite well. I heard many thank yous from the students and parents. A big thanks to Peg and Mike, our senior advisors, the custodians for setting the stage, and especially to Adam for putting together a masterful video that will be cherished by many for a long time. The administration team has been meeting numerous times a week planning for the end of the school year and what is sure to be many different scenarios to start the school year this fall. We all attend Zoom meetings almost daily with principals, superintendents, and various other experts in the educational field. You should also notice all the goings on outside, the new parking lot, the great job that was done making our baseball, football field the best it can be, and the soon to be new sidewalk out front. All of this done to make Ithaca look and be the best it can be for our students and community. Any questions?
Any questions or comments for Mr. Lechner?
No, just a real nice job with the graduation.
Thanks. Yeah, everybody worked hard on it, and I think it turned out pretty well.
Where are we at on the other proposed July graduation?
I think we wait to see if they're going to let us have a larger gathering in July, and if that happens, then we're planning on running it then.
That would be, right now, the tentative date would be right before our next board meeting.
July 12th? Yep.
Yeah. So when are we making that decision, and how are we going to communicate it out?
Well, I think we're going to wait for the state or for Governor Evers to let us know. And then we will send out emails and post it and everything else.
Same night as a board meeting?
No, it's the Sunday
It'll
before.
be the day before.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. We don't have another board meeting to discuss it, but
I thought, Steve, though we had said if it can happen,
That's what I thought.
yeah,
that it can move forward.
yeah.
We're moving on the assumption that we're going to have a graduation on July 12th.
And I just was wondering when we were going to comfortably be able to put that out there that, you know, this is it, this is the plans.
And who can attend?
And who,
Yeah.
yeah, and those are,
And we'll have to be guided by
yes.
the health department.
Is there have they said any dates as far as when they're gonna give their next guidance or anything like that? So
Not yet.
I don't know if we can be in contact with the county health department and say, hey, listen, this is what we're thinking of doing, because this isn't something we want to come, you know, the 5th of July and say, okay, hey, we're on, you know.
Right. No, Rose Cahoot is our person, the county nurse that's been in charge of all this. We've been in constant contact. She's also on the committee, just on the superintendent committee to talk about the fall, but yeah. As of right now, in the absence of other guidance, we are good to go on the 12th.
Okay.
So, and we can run it however we want to, if we feel comfortable saying, bring everybody and your mother, or you get 2. I mean, that's all, you know.
Like the university, they're for like 4-H events, if they're July 1, they're allowing groups of 10. Then in August, they're gonna up it to 50. So that has to come out of Madison to decide for that, so hopefully the schools are a little different, but.
Yeah, because it'll be up to the county.
Exactly.
Well, and the county fairgrounds isn't even open for groups yet, they're waiting.
Yeah.
So,
So at some point, we'll have to make some of those decisions and.
and Monday, I think Monday they decided for the fair. 15th.
Yeah. Okay, well, just keep us informed, and that way as we get questions, we can be
Right.
giving them an educated answer. Okay. All right, any other questions, comments? If not, 7.4 then, business managers report.
There's a bunch of reports there. You can see which ones are done. The list goes on. One of the interesting things was with the COVID thing, we needed to send out letters to all of our free and reduced to inform them that there's a pandemic EBT program that they qualify for, but if they didn't automatically get it, they have to apply. So we had to send those letters out this last week. So that was something that was added to our summer list to do. And then the summer sessions food program is going on, so we have claims for that. I haven't seen any payment on that yet, but I did do the March and the April claims. I did May's. So we'll see. Open enrollment period ended the end of May. And we had 15 applications in and 10 applications out. 4 of the open enrollments in were students who were already attending in 2019-20. So they either moved or their resident district changed. So they had to file for open enrollment. 7 of them are 4Kers and the rest are scattered out amongst the elementary classes. There's a list there. There were 7 applications in K4, 2 applications in 1 application in 2nd grade, 2 in 4th grade, 1 in 5th grade, 1 in 6th grade, 2 in 7th grade, and 1 in 9th grade. And there is room enough with our 40 per class to accept all of those. And there were no high needs, special ed. So we're good there. So that's on the agenda for later. Open enrollment out, we had 10 applications, 2 4Kers, 3 5Kers, 2 first graders, 1 4th, 1 5th, and 1 9th grader. And then I broke them out by school districts just to give you a kind of a, on both of those.
And those are
And-
St. Mary's.
A few of them were, yeah, I mean, the 4Kers are new. I know the 9th grader was St. Mary's
Okay.
kid going to Richland. So, but none of these were currently attending Ithaca. So it's not like we were losing them.
Yeah.
They're so.
Carol, these open enroll in, those are all new?
These are all new applications except for the 4 that I said were
Okay.
already attending here.
So 8, 12, 11 new.
11 new and none
Leaving.
out that we.
Well, our graduates that went,
Yeah,
I think
but-
there were, yeah, but there was like.
Over open enrollment?
Yeah, I was gonna say 5 or 6. I mean, it was less than what we're getting in.
Sure.
But when they come in as 4Kers, it's only a 0.6,
Yeah.
where the seniors is a full
Right.
FTE. So there's a difference there. So just been extremely busy. Getting theoretical budget ready to go and I did update that, the numbers on the food service. If you see it, the ones in green, that represents what's the summer session days and numbers there. I mean, they're hard to read there, but if you log in and look at it. Red means that it's deficit from the year before in numbers. But I think the last time I talked to Annette, and that was probably 2 weeks ago, we served over 9,000 meals.
It's
So
down like,
it's down
this
now.
week is like 65 families.
Yeah, and last week I think it was around 100 instead of being in the 200s.
Right.
160, 190.
And we're only have 3 more full weeks. This weekend.
We will be getting a bill, just so you know. Richland's gonna charge us for those meals because that's above and beyond our contract. But they're just gonna charge us for the meal, like it would cost, what it cost them, cost. I said that right.
We're not gonna inflate it.
They're not gonna, yeah, they're not gonna
It's
add
gonna
it
be at
into it,
that
because it's
260.
100% reimbursed because of the programming, program, thank you, because of the.
It'll be an in and out.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions, comments for business manager? Seeing none, hearing none. 8 then, old business. 8.1, discussion possible action on Florida band trip.
Well, here I am again. So we had to cancel our band trip that I was hoping to go next month. I had talked to the lady at Disney and she said, well, we've canceled all of our performances now through September. So then I asked if we could just go without playing. And she said, well, you'd have to pay more money. And she said, I would advise against it. She was a former high school choir director, and she said, we have a new rule as you're trying to get tickets now, and they're just going to let a certain amount of people in. She said that you might get there and you'd have a reservation that you're coming, but you also have to buy your tickets that day that you're coming. And she said, you might get 2 buses of kids there and then not be able to get in and have nothing planned. She said, I think it would just be a mess for you. So I took that as she knew what she was talking about. So I canceled it. We are going to reimburse, we're able to get all of our money back. We're going to reimburse the seniors. And I'm hoping to just roll over the money then from this trip. And I'm asking for permission to take the kids next year. It'll require us to apply again to be able to play down there. And I also just kind of wanted to get an idea because if I were to take the whole band next year, the freshmen would have had no time to fundraise. And that's a lot of money. They think it'll be about $1,300 next year per person. That's a lot of money to ask kids to come up with maybe in a short amount of time. So I emailed the middle school, or the incoming freshmen students and parents. I asked them what they thought. I got back probably out of about 15 kids. I believe I got about 9 responses. And between parents and students, they all would like to wait until it's their turn to go, which is when they're seniors. And that would be in 2024. So this would be a unique situation in that I'm asking if we could possibly take the sophomores through seniors. It'd be 55 kids. And then go 3 years down the road and get us back on our schedule. The schedule is actually good to have because right now we go every 2 years, or between the choir and the band, the kids have a way to go every 2 years. And so if we keep it where if I try to get the freshmen to go with us next year, then we're off. The following year, Liz takes the choir, and it would be tough for those kids, the same ones, to come up with money again for that trip. So that's why I just feel like it would be easier on the kids and parents if we took just the sophomore through seniors. I think I can do it. I mean, the kids, the freshmen, I'll just have them playing, doubling parts. So we still have it covered with a smaller band playing at Disney next year.
So I guess there'll need to be some discussion, as far
Yeah,
as.
well, she first, in order for it to work well, she's got to get the same week we have off available next year at Disney to play.
Yeah.
So she's waiting yet, right, Mrs. Behrens? You're waiting on that yet?
I did apply because it doesn't cost anything.
Okay.
So I did send that in today just to get my name in the hat because of a band director that I know in the neighboring hood of Richland Center is also going the same year. So yeah. Well, and the problem is that the bus company that we both take, he's got 3 of the buses. They have 2 left, and I just temporarily reserve them just in case we go because I don't want to lose out on them. So.
Right. Okay. So there's no sense in the board acting today because we don't know if the kids will be able to play that week anyway. Right?
Or are you looking for that we think it might be okay? I mean, we can't really approve with, but I mean, otherwise there's going to be a lot of kids that miss. If she doesn't go next year, then those seniors will also miss out.
And juniors.
And juniors.
Juniors and sophomores.
Yeah.
I would say we can put it on for, formal approval on whenever they get the date for sure.
Yeah.
But as long as it works into the schedule, as far as for the calendar, You know, as long as administration's okay and, you know, what I mean, because you take that many kids out of school, you know,
Right,
it's gotta
right.
look in the calendar, so.
Well, we do have a week.
Yeah.
That she
Right.
can apply for, so.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Behrens, are you, are you asking if it's okay that the freshmen don't go? Is that something that you're worried about?
I guess I was asking, I guess 2 questions. Yes, I'm asking if it's okay if the freshmen don't go because they don't want to go, the ones that I talked to. And also, I guess I'm asking for permission to plan a trip for next year if we can get it during spring break.
Okay.
I'm one of the incoming freshman parents who wrote back to her and said, my son would like to wait until he's a senior. You too, Kelly? Yeah, so I mean, obviously, we too are okay with that, so.
I don't see a reason why
No,
you would want to
it's
have
back
the
on the
freshmen
schedule.
go and then get it
Yeah.
back. And as far as, my only concern is if it works in the schedule, it works in the schedule. I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
Right. Okay,
I don't think we can formally put anything on the, you know, approving it because we don't know we have a date or anything, but we can certainly say that the direction
Move
is that,
forward.
yep, move
you
forward
know,
with it.
go ahead and see what, you know, if everything lines up and works out, then we can put it on another, as soon as you know, we can put it on another agenda to formally approve that. You know,
Okay.
and I can't see why kids wouldn't
Yeah.
be all for it.
Yeah.
You know, and in chaperones, no matter when you go, you're gonna have the same thing lining up chaperones.
Okay. Is that good enough for you, Mrs. Behrens? You getting enough?
Yep, that sounds good. Yes,
All right.
thank you. And thanks for putting up with me every meeting about this.
Well, new.
Well, it's too bad that all that has happened.
I know, go figure, huh?
All
Anything
right.
else on that? Okay, we're okay. 8.2 then, discussion and planning for 19-20 end of year and first steps for next year.
I don't remember what this was. Chris, do you remember what this was? First, we needed something okayed. First steps for next year. Darn it.
Don't recall, Julie.
What?
I don't recall.
Neither do I.
Were you talking about, I thought you brought it to us, like possibly doing some kind of picnic or something if that
Well,
would,
yeah, but. that-
Oh,
okay.
Julie, how about the athletes standing outside and having a little parade go by them?
Yeah, I think maybe that was it. You're right, Chris. So
Okay.
we can, according to WIAA, have all the spring sports people be recognized, like with a party or a parade or however we want to do it. But we would like to make sure you guys are okay with that because the kids would all be coming, you know, to school then. We have permission from WIAA to do that.
So then you need permission from the county nurse?
We would abide by what,
What?
so if they have to be masked 6 feet apart.
That's what Rose.
Like you did the
When we
teacher?
did the parade, I called
Okay.
the insurance, I called the lawyer, and I called Rose. Rose she trumped everybody.
Yeah. We say, we do what Rose says now.
But again, you suggest,
Call the Stock County
so
one
you
then.
can't mandate, you know, so some people follow and some don't, and that's the uncertainty, but she said we recommend it, and we ask nicely. That's what.
So you'd be looking at having something,
In July then? I mean, we still can't do anything on school grounds.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to get anything set up between now and the end of
End of
June
June.
anyway.
so you would do something kind of similar like parade type thing?
Kind of, yeah. And let the kids more decide, like, oh, we want to have this, we would rather have, you know, a drive, everybody, whatever. Let the kids decide what they want to do.
And-
Yeah, what I had heard was that they would like, the baseball players would be by the baseball field, and then in between the baseball and softball would be the track athletes.
Okay.
Use the back lane.
Yeah, we can use
Yeah.
the back lane as traffic if you wanted to make sure that
That's what
kids
they were
are
thinking
spread out
about.
to,
I know, I've seen other communities did where they did like a full parade where they just had them on, had enough wagons and then spread them out on the wagons. And then what they did is if the kid couldn't be there, they still had, like made a tag board or something. that said
Picture.
their name, so-and-so
Yeah.
senior, whatever. They had that. That'd be another idea you could do, because then people could line up wherever and then they could go around there. That takes getting wagons and that kind of stuff. This idea doesn't take that.
Take as much, right.
So,
and then we can wear their, baseball hats and all that kind of stuff and just stand out there and
so you're just looking for a,
approval to set that up for sometime in July.
just need direction, we need a motion, just direction,
Probably more direction.
just,
I mean, if they
I
get
would
it
say-
cleared with the
yeah, just follow
public
the,
health and,
yeah, because I think what Kathleen's exactly right. I think we're going forward here. I don't think there's any actual mandates anymore. They just can kind of give suggestions, and as long as,
And we as a school have to do our best,
Yep.
especially when they're kids. But if mom and dad are there,
so anybody not okay with that? It's good? Okay? Is that what you needed?
Yep, thank you.
Anything else for that? First steps for next year?
No, we're not quite ready. We'll have a lot more in July.
You're on the edge. You're getting ready to step. All right. Then 9.1, new business 9.1, discussion on bills and balances. So we had total receipts of $512,741.04. Total disbursements of $423,136.17.
I would make that motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the bills and balances as presented. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Blazinski,
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
And then 9.2, discussion possible action on educator effectiveness waiver from DPI.
So we did have to apply, so educator effectiveness is the way we evaluate our employees. Because we missed a quarter of the school year, Mr. Lechner and Ms. Shane had not finished every single evaluation that needed to take place. So I applied for the waiver, and basically it's just saying because of COVID, we didn't complete the evaluations, and that has to be a board approved action.
So we just need a motion to approve the waiver.
Yes.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Brisboy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And Mrs. Variance, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, then 9.3, discussion possible action on open enrollments.
So we have room in every class for the, what did I say, 11? What did I say?
Kathleen's gonna-
Yes,
yeah.
All
you
in
can
one
accept
motion?
all of them, yep.
So motion to accept all 11, right? That's the number, right? 11?
11 in and
I'm
10,
thinking
wait,
four.
Kathleen, can you do her?
15 minus 4 that we're currently in, so
Just-
11.
Just approve all open
Yes,
enrollment
applications.
applications in
In
and
and
out.
out. Okay, so
Yes.
a motion,
I will move to accept all open enrollment applications into the district and out of the district.
I'll second it.
seconded. Do we need roll call on that? No, okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, 9.4, then discussion possible action on accepting 2021 preliminary budget. This is very preliminary. We don't know what. I mean, the only thing we know is, the only thing we know is bennies and
Salary.
salaries. Otherwise, we don't know anything else,
Well, we don't have classroom budgets in yet. I mean, they're in, but they're
But
working on.
we have to have this preliminary approved so we can pay bills and stuff. And then we set the other in October, right?
Yep.
Any questions or comments on the preliminary budget? We looked at it quickly in finance. Well, I guess.
I I would make a motion that we accept the preliminary that's been presented.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the preliminary budget as presented. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Okay, then, 9.5, discussion possible action on purchasing a bus or two. So basically, Kelly, you're the only one that hasn't been in on this discussion. We discussed it in buildings and grounds, and we discussed it in finance, and our bus situation. We've got a few that are not very good. We have one that's
Don't.
rolling metal.
But not
we-
stopping.
It's not stopping.
Not stopping. Rolling metal with no brakes.
Rolling.
So, we had
Not to go on the ridge.
Yep, so we've got a couple of
Proposals.
proposals for, one was from Wisconsin Bus Sales for a new 71 capacity bus, $83,897. The other is bus from Nelson's, and that is $89,795. The ones from Nelson's, what they are is they are a more expensive bus than what we would normally spec out, but they had 10 buses ordered, and a Swiggers canceled, and they have 8 left, so they're selling a $110,000 bus for $89,000.
$89,795.
Yep. And so they're not in snub nose, they're regular, so they won't fit into our garage.
Well,
Yeah, most of them will fit in.
Most of
Some
them
of them won't fit in.
Owen
Some-
thought he could get it in, but he might not get the hood up to work on the engine.
So, but they would be under warranty.
They need
And
some-
anything that, we don't have a mechanic on staff anymore, so anything we do would go to harnesses and they'll fit in there. Now, I know when we discussed in buildings and grounds, there's a little bit of discrepancy. Some bus drivers like the short nose, some don't like short nose, so preference, it's not like.
We have more drivers that like the conventional than the snub nose. Yep.
So, so it's not like everybody's saying, oh, we want this or we want this, so it's kind of.
It's like a Titanic.
When we talked about it in buildings and grounds, we kind of thought it might be better if budget would be able to do it to buy 2 buses. And we would start to, and we talked about it in finance and said the same thing, would get us moving towards that rotation where we could get, hopefully where we could have all the buses under warranty and not have to worry about it. And so what we
What an
talked.
awesome deal we're getting.
It's good buses. So what we talked about though is like if we would buy 2, and Cheryl was confident that there's, as confident as she can be, that there's 170,000.
Yeah. 174. That's without any end of year stuff that we still got to pay out. But. And we had added to fund balance last year as well, a fair amount.
So if you bought 2, it was 179,590. That's if we can't get a 2 for the one.
A less price.
2 for a deal, or a better deal.
You don't want to approach them or anybody approach them on that.
We have not yet, because we just,
We want to find our best negotiator.
who's her best negotiator? Me.
Julie's pretty good at negotiating.
What are you gonna give me?
Call and get coached.
There was a discussion
Call Drew.
in building and grounds about specs, the air ride or.
Yeah, and they said they are air ride.
They're both sets are air suspension.
Oh, air suspension,
Yeah.
okay.
But
But
The
the
diff-
chair, the driver's
the
seat.
driver's seat, one is mechanical, which is the Thomas, and the other is on air ride. So we're giving up that air ride on the Thomas
For the bus
for
driver.
the bus driver.
And in the and for warranty work, Nelson's has 2 or 3 mobile units, and they don't charge to come out. Wisconsin Bus will charge you $200 to come out to do your free warranty work. Yeah, and I know Andrew had always preferred dealing with Nelson's over Wisconsin.
And you said Owen preferred them too, right?
Yeah.
And the buses that we've had a lot of trouble with have been the Bluebird, and that's what the Wisconsin one would be
new things.
Yeah, this last year that we had so many problems with, those both were Bluebirds that we had so many repairs on.
So then kind of what we talked about financial plan going forward would be is then, so if you do the lease program, you know, and if we should talk to them when we do this deal, say, hey, that's what our intentions are, you know, then we would budget for, because you trade 2 in and get 1 new bus. We budget over the next 2 years for a half a bus each year, so then we would trade, you know, at that time we trade in and have 2 new buses again. Any thoughts, comments, questions?
If we're always trading the 2 new buses to get 2 new buses, this just occurred to me, so then how are we gonna afford the other?
You would have to, at the same time, you'd have to do the same thing at another time.
And you just keep rotating at different times.
Yeah.
It's a cost up front every year for a couple of years. And
so-
then you
And then
start,
after that, you start recouping on your trade-ins.
Alright.
But you're not gonna ever equal, you know, 1 for 1 because you're you know, because they've got miles
No,
on
but I'm
them.
saying if we get 2 now, and then trade those 2 in on 1 new one.
We'll wait 3 years.
And then lease.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
So it takes you a little while, but
But,
you're
yeah.
getting 1.
We're buying these, and then we're talking about leasing in the future, so we can take advantage of that program.
Yeah,
Correct.
Got it.
so,
Yep.
because we had talked about, it was like 600,000, right, to do our whole fleet at one
I
time.
think so,
And we'd
yes.
have to probably go to referendum and do that. So it's, you know,
Then in 7 years, you're gonna have to do it again.
Right.
yeah.
And we thought if we did this, and we did them on
Yeah,
a
you just keep
rotating.
rotating and
If
then,
we did a
try and get
rotating,
it.
then we could budget for that lease payment.
yeah, exactly, you know, at least, yeah, at least you could, hopefully at some point, even if you could get 4 buses were permanently, you know, you'd have,
In warranty.
yeah, 4 of the 6 buses in warranty, it'd save you a lot of money. Or you just, when these other ones come up, you look at it ahead of time and you say, okay, we're gonna do, you know, 4 more. Instead of 6, you'd have to buy 4 to get everything in the lease rotation. And you would still want to spread them out
Right,
over.
right. So that you were,
But this gets us a third
Started.
closer to being able to do it.
So are you looking for a motion?
yes.
I would like to make a motion that we buy 2 buses from Nelson's at a negotiated rate not over 89,000, whatever,
$795.
$795 a piece. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so it's been moved to try to buy the 2 buses.
I will second that.
Nelson, and second by Mr. Brisbois. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Okay, 9.6 then, discussion possible action on approving the purchase of snake for plumbing. You want me to talk about this? So we, you know, they've been having, they scoped all the plumbing a couple weeks ago because they were trying to figure out the problem with the smell and that, and apparently that's gone away. They think that something had built up and then it,
Not
When they
having
s-
kids in
yeah,
that
when they
here.
scoped it, they could see that it had been a buildup, but then it was gone. So, but there's still this problem,
Hold up of what?
huh?
Sewage.
That was sewage or
Oh,
something.
don't ask.
Yeah,
Effluent.
yeah.
Okay, never mind,
Yeah.
sorry.
But
I was like, what?
When does the smell go away? Like, how long?
No, they weren't talking about the smell. They were talking about, there was a blockage that was in there that could have been causing the smell.
And it disintegrated?
It was gone. They could tell there's a blockage there and they could tell that it was gone. And I think what probably happened is it just dried out and then was able to go on out versus, you know, staying.
We just kept packing
Which-
in every
exactly.
day when we had.
So not that it won't come back, but right now,
But went away because of the-
yes. And so the 2 bathrooms here, the plumbing goes out and then down that hallway and then down another way.
Goes
when-
through Favreau's
Yes.
shop and down to the.
And so when the Kramer's guy looked at it, he's like, why in the world did they do that? But anyways, it backs up quite frequently. And I know they've had it during the school day. And so we had I want to say literally a taste of it, but we saw it firsthand at the wrestling tournament. started backing up, and I don't remember who caught it, but it was still in the urinals. The urinals were starting to fill up. But within about 45 minutes, we'd shut those bathrooms off right away, and it was halfway out the hallway of both bathrooms. And so that's very unsanitary. Even when you clean it up, you get people walking through there. So, we had to call, and then they have a little snake thing that they use that was able to get it down, but they want to buy a longer snake so that way if these things happen, if it keeps happening, they could routinely snake it, like on a Thursday night when they know something's coming. But those service calls, and they'd come out just for that snake, and especially on a weekend, that are expensive. So they're thinking somewhere between like $2,500 and $3,500 they could get the snake in half. The other alternative is to tear that all up, which is not a very good alternative. But they don't know if they need it for sure. What we had talked about in Buildings and Grounds, the best thing would do is be approve the purchase of that. So when they come back next year, if that problem happens, they don't have to wait. They can go and buy the snake, or they can just go and buy it now, whatever we feel. If we
If
thought
this
we
is an
wanted to.
ongoing issue, what makes us think it's not going to?
The only thing is it didn't happen, and then all of a sudden started happening in the last couple of years. If doing all this, yeah, they could use it other places.
Right.
So we just thought if we were trying to watch the money, we could say, okay, we approve it, and if you need it, we can go get it. I think it makes sense just to have one here, because if we do, like the stuff in the bus garage that happened, some of these things, our guys could use it, and it's not hard to use.
What about sharing stuff like that with Weston? Not everybody needs a snake. Could share the cost.
Yeah, I don't know if they have any problems
I
like
mean,
that.
3,500, I'm sure
Yeah.
they, I don't know, probably do. They haven't only done in terms of.
You're transporting it then.
Yeah.
Just from the back of the van.
Throw in the back of your car.
Sure.
And then we put kids in there to transport those kids.
It'll be fine.
Don't scare
Well, I liked your idea that it would be on kind of a schedule, whether it would be every other month or monthly, and approve that we purchase it, even if, why wait for it to come up
We just thought,
instead of just.
yeah, well, that's what I thought too.
Go in there and
We
stamp
thought
it out every couple of
if we
weeks.
were trying to watch the budget, that we could wait, but it does make more sense to have it. And if they see it, as soon as if it starts to be a problem, that's what Frank said that they would do then. They would just schedule it. So, hey, if there's, they would do it every whatever. And if there's going to be an event here on the weekend, they would do it, that week before or the night before, whatever, to make sure then they don't get called back in. And so
Steve, the question is, where did it go?
I have no idea, but both of them were.
Both.
It was,
They drain into the same
yeah,
tunnel, so,
yeah.
and it doesn't, yeah.
The plumbing on that just sounds ridiculous.
That's what
So cute.
Well,
that's what the
I don't
Kramer guy
understand
said.
why.
He didn't
Well,
understand
a
it.
straight shot, right?
Well, and there's
That's
a
what he
T then, there's a T, because Mrs. Behrens has water that comes out of her room that also drains.
Oh,
So then it backs up into her area.
Oh, no.
And it's not water.
Right.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
has changed here lately that's caused it to do it very frequently.
I've even talked to the people that own a rug, Kevin, talk of the water sanitation dump system, whatever, the
Kevin
Kevin.
Hauser.
Hauser. I'm like, this isn't draining right. What are we supposed to do? And he's like, well, it's always been slow. That's not what I want to hear.
Well, I guess because in town, residential, there's grinders
Yeah. the
in
grinder pumps.
between, So I'm thinking to myself, why wouldn't they put a grinder on the school since it's the biggest usage, before it went down the holding or the pump station?
Mhm.
I don't know.
Save money.
I don't know anything about plumbing or anything, so.
Right, it is where it gets an awful lot daily.
Because our grinder between us and Austin has gone down, and it severely affects. We don't get back up in our basement because our basement's a dirt floor, but Austin gets back as soon as it breaks down. But, so I don't know. I would think that a grinder would have made sense to put on, but You gotta get it out to the grinder though.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right.
That's step
Gotta
B.
get that part.
So,
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a snake for regular plumbing.
is there a second? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy,
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski,
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes. Okay, 9.7 then, discussion possible action on glycol into the HVAC system for cost of $8,000,
No more than,
more than $8,000.
because it's $38.60 for the elementary school, the glycol, and then the pumps and the installation is 2,000 to 2,800. So when we added it all up, we had about 7,500. So we decided no more than 8,000.
Yeah, we rounded it up
Okay,
because they're shipping.
explain this to me like I'm
So,
5, because
what
I
this
have no
is-
idea what this means.
This in the elementary, the end down here where we have they have univents that are supposed to open and close, but that's where we're getting all the freezing.
Okay,
And those univents, the discussion is what they were put in wrong, or there was, anyways, there's finger pointing, they aren't right. They need to be replaced for them to work right. To replace them was like $12,000 some dollars. To put this glycol in and not have univents anymore and not worry about it freezing at all, because this glycol can't freeze, is $8,000. And then if we replace the univents with new univents, over time, those would go bad too. Because
so what is glycol? Or is this a one and done, or
It's
is
like
this
an
something we have to keep
antifreeze.
doing?
it's antifreeze. So instead of water being in there that can freeze,
Okay,
they put glycol in there which can't freeze.
and it
so-
doesn't get used up, so we don't have to keep doing
I would
it?
guess you're gonna
It's
have
a
to add
closed-
little. but-
Yeah,
It's probably like an air conditioner
Yes.
thing that
And so
periodically you have to add Freon. so
Okay.
you have to
Radiator.
add-
that's why we'd have to buy the pump, and the pump would have to stay on that system. So that way the pump's there, then they would just add more glycol. And the reason that they can't give us a definite number on how much glycol, because they don't know how much glycol the system's gonna take, because they didn't put the system in, so they don't know how much.
how many gallons of
Gallons
water
of
right through everything.
But it will solve the problem of the broken water pipes leaking in the elementary. And then the idea is if we put that in and everything works and it's good and we like it, then we could possibly do it in the high school end too. We've not had problems in the high school end
Yeah,
yet.
okay.
And we don't have unit vents in the high school
Yes.
either.
So then this 8,000 doesn't include that pump.
Yes, it does.
The
Oh,
pump.
it does
Yeah.
include the
Right.
pump.
And we thought at first that when we pump, we could take it and use it for the high school.
To pump it in
Then
there.
don't go, because we're buying this pump, but it's got to be put right into the system. So if we did the high school, we'd have to buy another
Right.
pump to put in there. But that pump gets put in the system and stays there, and that's what takes the glycol and puts it into the system. So, long story short, to fix our problem and not have broken pipes down there, we either have to go with new univents at a cost of 12 to 13,000, which probably, because those are not that old.
5 years old for
5 years
most of
old.
them.
Or do this and
Be
basically.
done.
So the recommendation from Buildings and Grounds was to do the glycol. We talked about it at two meetings, and it made sense to do this. Done with the problem. Any questions, comments?
I'll move to approve this glycol that costs up to $8,000.
A motion to approve the glycol in the HVAC system in elementary.
I'll second it.
Second. Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes. Okay, then, 9.8, discussion possible action on purchasing desktops for teachers at a cost of $10,880. This would be coming out of the technology money that we had on the upper 90 that we have not spent yet.
Okay, that's cool.
And it's replacing,
16 desktops that are no longer supported by what system, Mr. Brisboy?
Windows 7.
Thank you. I can't remember, but he knew exactly what I was talking about.
Those are
Windows
really
7 is
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're old. They're old. So that's
64s.
16 of them so that all the teachers have one that
Yeah.
can work now.
And this is what did we have, 50-some thousand dollars in that? We spent a little on the WAPs and stuff.
Yeah,
And then this is coming out of there.
no, this is good.
So, motion,
I'll make a motion to approve purchasing desktops for the teachers in the amount of $10,880.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Ferriant, roll call.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, 9.9, discussion possible action on indoor wireless access points, and it's not $67, it's.
Yeah, it's $6,715.
So
There's a
these
little
would
bit of a
be,
difference.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that must have been
We
copied over.
discussed, yeah, so we discussed this at Buildings and Grounds. So these would be the problem areas where we're having down this hall down here, and then some in the elementary,
Is this also on that?
also on that grant.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would make that motion.
I'll
You mean
second
the
it.
upper 90 money?
Yeah.
It's not a grant.
Not the grant, the upper.
Or, yeah, the upper
yeah.
90.
Who made the motion?
I did.
I seconded.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Still have Mr. Manning in there, sorry.
Okay, 9.10, then discussion possible action on accepting the trifecta game nights grant for $2,809.96.
Go for a grant, got another grant.
I could have just been 2,810.
Nope, it was an exact
Throw it down.
amount.
There's
Mrs.
some formula.
Mrs. Blanca wrote the vast majority of this. I gave her some parameters and she went to town on it and used some of the, it's always good to have the numbers and the quotes of, you know, you're free and reduced and all that kind of stuff. But, so we are gonna be able to have game nights with brand new games. We're hoping we can have a checkout in the library. People can take games home and play with them, since we're back to the basics and everybody needs to learn how to play board games.
Then we would set up and have game nights here
Yes,
too.
continuing, because we have had quite a few game nights.
Yeah.
But we're expanding those.
New and improved game
New and
nights.
True.
You might be able to play some of them.
What are you saying?
Oh,
We're gonna get some older ones.
sorry.
I thought you were getting like really simple ones, like Uno with 3 cards.
Kerplunk,
Ladders is hard.
Candyland.
Candyland is boring.
kerplunk.
All right, I'll make the motion that we accept the trifecta games night grant for $2,809.96.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
9.11, discussion possible action on district insurances, property liability, workers' compensation, umbrella, cyber, etc.
So the only, we did end up with a 15% increase in our property, which is our buildings. And I asked why, and they said it was across the board nationwide because of all the hurricane, hail, all because of the weather and how many claims came in. But overall, the price really didn't change that much from last year when I don't have that. They gave us, that's option 1 is the same limits, same deductibles as we have now. 43,146. Option 2 gives us a little bit more coverage on cyber solutions, cyber liability and data compromise. Instead of having a $100,000 limit and a $1,000 deductible, it's giving us $250,000 limit, same deductible, both for the cyber liability and the data compromise. And I would suggest we do that since we're doing more and more and more things online. So that amount would be $43,821.
So you said that 15% up on property.
Just on the
But
property.
overall, you know where.
Overall, it really didn't.
It
We didn't.
went down on others.
Yeah, it went down on workers' comp.
Okay.
Went down like 2,000 or 3,000. So made it up there. Yeah. I can pull it up in Skyward, what we paid this year if you want.
Do we look at, when we renew those things, do we look at, you know, the values on buildings and things like that?
Yeah.
So that we're staying current, so that way.
We have replacement costs on everything, so. So whatever it costs us to rebuild,
Sure.
whatever.
Yep. Questions, comments? We feel comfortable with where we're at on deductibles and things like that?
I think so. I mean, we could save some on premiums if we went up. You know, I mean, we're only paying $1,000 deductible, but you know, and we don't frivolously put in claims. I mean, you know, it's normally 7, 8, 9,000 before we'll put a claim in. Otherwise, it's not worth having your premiums go up because
Exactly.
your claim.
So if we're already doing that as a policy, we might as well recap that by moving our deductibles up, right?
If you want.
You see what I mean? If we're not running, you know, if we're saying, okay, we're not gonna put in anything unless it's $5,000. We're paying, you know, we're paying like we're gonna do it for $1,000. And if we're not doing that, which does not make sense to do it, because if you do it on every one, then they would just say, oh, figure up.
Right.
We might as well.
And we have had claims like this last year. What was it this last year? There was-
Water leak,
Yeah. whatever.
Yep.
water leak was a
Yep.
huge one.
And then the year before we had something. I mean, we've had,
We have something every year.
yeah, like, you know, but there's small compared to, you know, like 8 to 10,000, 15,000 at the most. But, and that's why I thought that's why our premiums had gone up. And I kept asking Tricor, why is it going up 15%? And I think I hounded them for like 2 months, you know, we don't know. And I said, well, find out from Chubb, because Chubb's who's got the,
Sure.
So what we put in one every year, you think?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
this year it was on the gym floor. And that was 14,000.
okay, so I'm saying if we put in 2 and we raise the deductible to say $5,000, that costs us $10,000. If we put in 2 under what we have now, it costs us $2,000. So is the difference in premiums gonna save us $8,000?
But what we're saying is we're not putting in anything. So if something, right now, if we have a $3,000 loss, we're not putting that in. We're just paying it out of our pocket.
Right, I get that.
Yeah. And if we pay for what we are getting versus, it just depends. If you have a whole bunch of little ones, then it comes back and gets you. And if you have,
Well, if we have little ones, we're paying for them anyway, but if we're saying we submit a couple of big ones every year, then we're gonna get slammed on deductibles.
Yeah, is the savings that much?
I don't know. I mean, I can run it back through, but I mean,
yeah, you'd have to see what they're, normally if you go from like 1,000 to like 5,000, there's quite a savings in your monthly premiums, a lot.
This does renew July 1st. So we have to have coverage now, but we can ask them to,
For another year or something.
well, or even for this year, and they can rewrite it.
Sure.
So it
I think
wouldn't
it's
be,
worth
Isn't that
it wouldn't be bigger.
Isn't that true, Rob, that they could rewrite it if we wanted them to? You listening?
Yes, that's very true. Otherwise, you just do, you know, they'll just amend it. That's not a problem at all.
Okay.
And Rob
So,
typed in,
just
the only thing to remember, if you raise the deductible to 5,000, then it wouldn't be worth putting in a claim unless it was over 10,000 or more.
5,000, we
Right.
put in one claim every year, it
Did
needs
you-
to save us more than $4,000
Exactly
to be worth it.
Mhm.
So, and if that's the
Yeah.
case, then I'm
Right.
on board.
Yeah.
Right.
But otherwise, I mean, if it's not gonna save us more than at least $4,000, I don't think it's worth it.
No, absolutely.
Rob just typed something in.
The only thing to remember is if you raise the deductible to 5,000, then it wouldn't be worth putting in a claim unless it is over 10,000 or more. Just something to remember.
Yeah, because then the deductible, then our premiums will go up, right, too, also,
Right.
so. I don't know, I mean, I think,
I
unless
can
it's a
ask him.
huge savings, I think I'm comfortable leaving.
I can ask our agent.
Yeah, we can
give
always
us-
approve it this way and then ask the agent, and if we come back
It'd
and
have to be
it's
big
quite a
for it to
savings,
change, I think.
Okay, I'll have them re-quote it,
we can
Ask
approve
for
it
a
this
couple
way and
other
then we can always
deductibles.
change it if there's a huge savings.
but I do recommend that we increase our cyber
Yes,
liability and our data compromise.
I agree with that.
So we'd be looking at option 2, which is 40.
3,821.
Okay.
I will move that. Select option 2.
Okay, motion made to go with option 2. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Seconded, roll call, please.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Okay, 9:12, then discussion of possible action on renewing seeds contract 155620.
It's the special education data system for keeping track of all the IEPs. It's just a contract that we renew every year.
I'll make that motion.
And motion to renew the seeds contract.
Second.
Second, Mr. Brisboy, roll call, please.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
9:13, discussion possible action on WIA renewal. Is Mr. Tony still there?
No, he was only here for the first part of the meeting. I do have the renewal to sign, but it's nothing.
Is there any
really.
fees anymore? Are they still waiving fees?
Your dues for 2021 is 0. The Board of Control action on 4/29/15 to suspend dues fees until the 2017-18 became permanent as a result of membership action at the 2017 annual meeting. I don't know why that says that like that. So
So there's no.
I don't remember that there's fees on it from last year.
Is keeping our membership in WIA.
Yes.
Discussion, questions, comments?
So you need a motion?
Motions, yeah.
I would make a motion that we approve the WIA renewal.
Second. Since there's no money, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, 9:14, discussion possible action on approving policy. 9:14-1, policy 203, safety procedures, required language.
So we are just adding towards the bottom of the policy a red paragraph that is a state mandate now annually. Within the first 6 months of employment and every 5 years after that, all staff is required to be trained on the mandatory reporting of threats of school violence.
And do we have this through Tricor or through that school, Safe School?
Oh, yeah, we do it through Safe School, but,
I just didn't
So
know
we
if
have a
we
way
had
of
an
keeping track of
option
it?
for training.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we do it through there. When they get done, it logs it, sends it to Julie or whoever's.
I move that we approve policy 203 with the addition of the state statute language.
Second.
Second, moved and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? 9:14-2 then, policy 302, temporary personnel, updated pay.
so as you can tell in red, we're at $115 a day. And the last paragraph just made no sense, so we fixed it.
We've come across that a lot over the last couple of years.
I'll make that motion.
Been moved to accept policy 302. Is there a second?
Kelly did.
Okay, Kelly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? 9:14-3 then, 301.03, newly employed teacher orientation update.
We just updated it and we took out the paragraph because they don't get compensated. We just make them work 2 more days. It's been that way since I started. And in this role, I don't know what it was like before, but
Questions, comments?
I also move.
Moved by Mr. Brisboy, second. Mr. Ferns, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 9:14-4, policy 361, bookkeeper and administrative assistant.
all right, this is a brand new policy. So A, B, C are all the same. Yeah, so we start with the duties. Well, C is professional rights and responsibilities, and then, which are a little bit more generic, but those are different depending on your position. And then the duties and responsibilities are listed there. So lots and lots of duties and responsibilities. We wanted to what we did is we sat down. Mrs. Richards was very helpful. We took things off of Brooke's plate. That's not HR anymore, but we know now she knows how to do certain things. And this person will be taking things off of Cher's plate, and then they will be cross-trained. So in the front office, if they're sick or have to go on vacation or something, somebody else can do everything in the front office. And then we added a few duties. So towards, I gotta find my notes here. Yeah, so receptionist, learning Skyward, that's all front things, the counter. Second Friday counts, open enrollment, those were on Cheryl's plate. Took those off. School lunch was on Cheryl's plate. We took those off. And then we also put on all three of these that they, this one's K, serve as a backup to the business manager, school secretaries, or HR in emergency situations. So if we need somebody to just, you know, I mean, I was the high school math teacher this year. We just all pitch in, and there's none of this, well, that's none of my job description. Yeah, it is.
And you added other duties to be assigned?
And others to be,
Yes.
other duties to be assigned, that's always on there. Should be the last one. Oh, second last one. We also had on this one, lunch duty or lunch/E duty, lunch or recesses as assigned. Again, we always need that extra body at lunchtime to help watch kids. So if need be, this person can also do that. So my recommendation is we take this.
Yeah, we
Job
looked at
description.
the policy committee, and the policy committee's good with it. And Mrs. Shane and Mr. Lechner were also at that meeting,
Yes.
so we have a lot of input.
Questions, comments, motions?
I will so move to approve that.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, policy 361. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 914.5, policy 363, human resources, new.
We, same thing, ABC, or I guess this is 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't notice that before this. That's all right, you guys don't mind if I change the letters and numbers. Trying to make things look the same. These were the duties and responsibilities that we literally brought you guys to show you what we needed an HR person for, and all we did was put it in the correct format so that it is now a usable document.
A job description.
A job description. And then we also put in there, checking backgrounds, other duties as assigned. It will be, this person will be as a backup, sorry, that's double H, as a backup to the business manager and bookkeeper. So again,
Another thing that we have to add to somebody's duties this year is our insurance company wants us to do at least quarterly or semi-annually drivers.
License.
Yeah,
yep,
DMV.
so that's I.
Risk assessments, when we did the risk assessment with them, they suggested that we do that so that we know, you know, and we've had that in the past where we had a OWI and they self-reported, but had they not self-reported, I don't know that we would have known.
Sure.
Do you remember what that was? We have a transportation plan. We didn't finish the actual plan, but maybe this person can administer that, because we could add that right now. Remember the transportation plan where we talked about background checks and,
The safety, that's.
yeah, the
that's a
safety,
School
safety
fleet
thing.
safety program?
yeah, school fleet safety program.
Right, yeah.
We're not 100% done with that, but that's the person,
Yeah, why don't you throw that on for notes so we don't forget?
Well,
because
and I
We
think-
were gonna bring that back, weren't we?
we are gonna bring that back,
Yeah.
but shouldn't this person be in charge of that then?
Right, that makes sense.
Title IX too.
Oh, yeah. AA says employee discrimination, sexual harassment, workplace bullying.
Because every school district now is mandated to have a Title IX coordinator for sexual discrimination and harassment.
Yeah, and trainings and all that kind of stuff, so that's.
So you need a motion to approve it with the additions? You're gonna add, or are you doing that right now?
I'm gonna do it right now. So, fleet safety,
And we're looking at adding 2 new positions,
no,
No, this is Brooke's position.
just Brooke's position, just
We're just
delineating.
delineating, yeah.
let's see.
And this
Yeah, we
one's-
had already discussed adding last year.
Yeah.
This is just the policy to go with what we already approved.
So what do we call it? We called it, we're not done with that, but fleet,
School fleet safety program.
so,
It's 352.04.
there, how's that? JJ. Administer the fleet safety program. And I could put, instead of trainings on sexual harassment, I could put Title IX. Comma, trainings on sexual harassment. Maybe I should put the word coordinator. Okay. Those are the things we want to add. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, I'll make that motion
You got me this time.
that we approve the human
Policy
resource
363.
363, human resource.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor of approving policy 363. Resources, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? 914.6, policy 202.04, business manager updated.
So we did take 2 things off. We took out the open enrollment and the lunch reconciliation, sending out the letters, all that kind of stuff. This will allow Mrs. Richards to perhaps work a normal work week or be more current with GISB requirements or more current with certain procedures that she'd like to be able to do.
Questions, comments?
I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve, policy 202.04, is there a second? Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 914.7, pupil welfare, change some wording.
All right, this one, did I change it on this one? Most of this just was really hard to understand, and so we felt we changed enough of it when we typed it in here. So part of it, if an officer will be questioning a student on a situation in which he or she is not a suspect, it is not necessary to notice the parents. But then it said things about,
It was worded where if a police officer was coming to arrest a student, that we would contact the parents. Legally, we don't have to. And I don't, is Chris still on?
Chris,
Yep.
you still here? Yes, he's
So
still here.
you had the concern about that. So what, I don't remember the details.
The way it was written was that the student could not be interviewed by the police unless we called their parent. But by law, the officer can. And I have had some parents come in and tell me that under no circumstances will a policeman talk to their student, but that's not the law.
Right, okay, so that's why we wanted to update the policy.
Yeah,
The way it was written, it was going against the law. So then Chris brought that to our attention and we changed it, and that's why it's here.
yep.
We did say that efforts will be made to notify.
Right. And I'm sorry, I should have crossed that out. I don't know what I was thinking when I just typed it right in here, because I don't like to change it without there being still what's in there, but it was a group effort to make it correct. And we
Yeah.
felt that we needed to change it so it was right.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments on policy 406?
I'll move on 406, the public welfare that we, pupil, that we go with the changing
presented.
the wording as presented.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? 914.8 then, 501.01, Library Media Centers Policy update.
So this isn't formatted well, because when I made my copy, it did something weird. So I'll make sure that the pages are nicely delineated, but Mrs. Zaria presented this to the policy committee. She updated what needed to be updated. She changed some of the language. She worked very hard on this, and we went through all of it, and she didn't change things that didn't need to be changed. So we still had one, and we didn't have a number for it. So I gave it a number. And so now it's whatever the number is.
501.
Thank you. And find clickable in there when it gets approved.
She even has format.
Yeah, she did an amazing
Right.
job and added a lot of stuff in there for others in the future.
We can all learn. This is how.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what I did with the
Super
formatting, but I had to make a copy of hers so it doesn't read as well. I have to make it look nice.
Questions, comments? Policy 501.01.
I'll move that we approve policy 501.01 library media center policies as presented.
Your second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Ruth Blaze. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, 9:15 then, discussion and possible action on setting committee dates. First one is 9:15-1, Finance and Personnel, Monday, July. Do we need to go at 6? Do we need a longer one?
I left it at 6. If you guys still feel we need to, I'm okay with that. Or do you think we could take?
We need it, Cheryl, do you think? Or are we going over?
I don't know what I don't know. We're not gonna have much information there yet either, so
Probably
Do
not by then.
6:30 then.
6:30.
6:30, okay.
You looking
So
for a
that'll be
motion?
before the next board meeting.
Yes. Yes.
Motion to set,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
okay, at 6:30 on July 13th. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 9:15-2, policy on Wednesday, July 1st at 5 p.m.
Julie, were you able to talk to Summer about a better day of the week, or are we going with this for another month?
I think we should wait on this. She hasn't gotten back to me on a good day of the month. So I think we should stay away from the first though, because she has stated at the beginning, first week of the month isn't good for her.
Okay, so do we want to pick a different one now, or do we just want to email about it?
Okay, you guys can talk as a group and
Yeah,
let us.
Okay.
yeah, okay, so skip it.
Okay.
No action on 9:15-2 then. 9:15-3, buildings and grounds, Wednesday, July 1st, 6:30.
So moved.
I think we talked about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we already have it. Okay. Moved. Is there a second to set it then? Okay. All in favor of setting policy or buildings and grounds, July 1 at 6:30, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
opposed? All right. 9:15-4 curriculum then on Thursday, July 2nd at 5.
Sure.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'll make that motion.
Okay, so
Second.
moved and seconded to set curriculum on Thursday, July 2nd at 5 p.m. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone against? Okay. 9:16 then discussion possible action on setting board meeting dates. The next one would be July 13th at 7.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, 9/16/2, August 10th at 7.
I'll make that motion.
Your second? Got all in, Cheryl?
Wait, who seconded it?
Kelly.
Kelly.
I got it.
Okay, we're good. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, you guys all caught up?
Yep.
Okay, all right, then 10, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin statute 19.51C for consideration, employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. In closed session will be discussion regarding performance evaluation of district employee, teaching staff, administration, or coaching staff. Will be in closed session not less than 5 minutes, but it could be longer.
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Blazinski, is there a second? Mr. Brisboy, is roll call?
Mrs. Peterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski,
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy,
Yes.
Mrs. Varian,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
You go.
Yeah.
Just a hit, but I need it.
All right, everybody, we will go to a different room and be back.
I have the motion and the second on that as Mrs. Blazinski.
On which one?
On the adjourned closed session. We can listen to the recording. I can listen to the recording later on.
That's the position. I'm creating a position to learn bookkeeping and front office duties. So I have
So
to
you're not gonna
reword
call
that.
it administrative assistant?
No, we're gonna do that. We're gonna put it the same job description that we had. Because we worked on that. Where was that? Bookkeeper and administrative assistant. Control C.
So Ron.
All right, then 11, reconvene to open session.
Just a minute, please.
Mrs. Blazinski had to use the restroom. Okay, let me see. Who's here? Anybody else here?
Okay.
It's just me. Joe Plonka says, thank you, have a great night.
Got it.
Oh, yeah. So I did change the wording on 11.3 to read it correctly, so.
Yep, we do. I so moved to bring the meeting back to an open session.
I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Cheryl, did you get the two?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, then 11.1.1, discussion possible action on increasing support staff base pay.
I will make a motion that we increase it 2%.
It's been moved by Mrs. Peterson to increase staff base pay 2%. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Brisboy's roll call.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski. Yes. Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes. 11.2, discussion possible action on allowing specific staff to carry over vacation.
Want me to list them? Okay.
Make a motion. to
I
allow-
would make a motion that, let's see, where are we here?
Eleven
That
two.
we would allow specific staff to carry over their vacation into the following school year due to COVID,
To expire by
to expire.
June 30th, 2021.
It's been moved by Mrs. Peterson, been seconded. by
Yes.
Mrs. Amended by Mrs. Blazinski. There's no money there. Is there money with, we need roll on that?
I don't think it's gonna hurt.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Blazinski. Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
11.3, then discussion possible action on creating a position to learn bookkeeping and front office duties. What was the name of
We're
that?
calling it a bookkeeper and administrative assistant.
So we're looking for a motion to create this position actually, right?
Yeah, so that we can then, and hire. Well, we'll come back
Higher.
with the hire.
Not at
I
this
don't think
point.
so, not at this point.
We have guidelines now, so we know what to
Yeah.
do.
They know what bait they're fishing with.
Move to create a position to bookkeeper / administrative assistant position.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Brisboy, second by Mrs. Blazinski. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
11.4, then discussion possible action on hiring a high school math teacher. The recommendation by administration is?
Mr. Gregory Herbst. I hope
would
I'm
make
saying
that-
your name right, Mr. Herbst.
I would make that motion. That we hire Mr. Herbst.
Mrs. Peterson, second by Mrs. Variance. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mrs. Blazinski.
Yes.
12 then, adjourn. Is there a
I'll
motion?
make motion to adjourn.
By Mrs.
Second.
Blazinski, second by Mrs. Franz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Cheryl, do
Opposed?
you have our school board stuff to sign?
Yes, I have stuff for.
940, 4A, that level is.
I have bus driver contracts to sign.
I think I'm hopeful that we'll have equipment.
Okay, but not, so don't
No.
put anything out on my schedule.
Yep, I would say that. I would say
Okay,
that.
so here's the deal. Let's see here. I have Nothing, nothing the next 2 weeks.